All right, why don't we go ahead and get started? Mr. Ross should be here shortly. He said that there was a fire, but he wasn't. But I think that he meant that in the metaphorical sense that he needed to put out. So I don't know, kind of like Ron. Ron probably has some of those to put out on this is metaphorical ones for the public. So anyway, public comment. Do we have anyone giving public comment today? No public comment. We do have, the agenda says no instructional council update, but we do have an instructional council update. So with that, let's have the instructional council update.
Because it's a very good instructional council update.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
All right.
We had an instructional council meeting on December 19th. And, it says 2014, it should say 2013. So the instructional council reviewed and will recommend to the board a number of math and science courses, which will increase the options for students who are interested in pursuing STEM careers. Introduction to Engineering Design was updated and expanded to a year-long course from a semester, and it's now recommended for 11th grade students in the Academy of Modern Engineering, which was formerly the GRPS small school. We also supported a new course in scientific research for the same small school academy so that students will gain experience in bench science. There was some discussion about the Physics First initiative, which apparently is under discussion, and how this would change the content of the scientific research course if the board adopts this initiative. But they are the people who are supporting the scientific research course are willing to change that if Physics First is adopted. And we supported 2 courses in mathematics. Statistics for high school seniors is a fourth year math alternative that's appropriate for college-bound students in many disciplines. We discussed the viability of making this an AP course in the future, but it won't be an AP course next year because more work has to be done to get the AP stamp of approval. The Instructional Council also supported a new math lab course, which will provide assistance to students struggling in math in the middle schools. So that's for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade schools. The 5th course that we looked at and supported was Links 2. Links was successfully implemented this year as a course to assist communication and contact between students in the general population and students with ASD. Students have requested that this course be continued with more instruction. So Links 2 will be available for students who successfully completed Links 1 and are also current in all of their other course credits. All 5 of these proposals were supported in preliminary form only. In the next couple of months, we anticipate that the presenters will return with a complete syllabus that's ready for implementation in classes for the fall. The next meeting is at the GREA boardroom on January 30th. We moved the meeting because of final exams. So, thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
Can you give me some understanding what is Links 1 and what is Links 2? What does that entail?
Links 1 it's a course set up for students are on the autism spectrum are paired with students from the general student population, and the students from the general population learn about autism spectrum disorder, learn how people with disabilities work within the community, what needs people have, what needs they might have, and a lot of sort of healthcare skills. And they work for 1 semester. And the Links 1 course is so that the general population students can get credit for working in this way. There was only 1 semester available. Okay. So students who did it for 1 semester, apparently it was at Creston. They've moved it to Union. They gave us a report back after they'd done it for 1 year. They have a very rigorous screening process for students coming in from the general population who are interested in doing this. And they have about 10 times more students asking to do it than they have spaces available. So they wanted to expand it so that you didn't just take the same thing again, but you were moving on in your knowledge and skills.
Good. Thank you.
Fantastic.
You're welcome.
So they moved the autism program to Union?
They moved to Union, yeah. But I understand it's very successful.
Great.
So it's going really well. Yeah.
And then I had one other point of clarification. You discussed the physics first
Yeah.
initiative relationship to something coming to the board, or
Yes, when the Academy of Modern Engineering people were talking to us, they were talking about the scientific research, the bench science class, which is primarily biology-based. And right now in high school, we run biology, chemistry, then physics.
I see.
But what we were told was that there has been discussion brought to the board that physics, talking about doing physics first, conceptual physics, followed by chemistry, followed by biology. Well, this is a 10th grade course. So the way that the course is structured is that you would already have biology, but you would be doing the science research base on the science that you know already, on the biology science that you know already. So if we move to a physics first, you would do physics in 9th grade, well then the bench science course, the science research course, would be physics-based instead of biology-based. So you would change the things inside the course so that it was based on science that you had done in 9th grade.
And this is a proposal that will come, Carolyn, through to your office, to the board. So it would be with a recommendation for what should be done.
It
Yeah.
would be, it's actually resequencing the standard.
Okay.
It would be
Yeah.
with a recommendation. Or I would have to kind of talk with you about that, because I don't know if it requires an approval or an update, but it would come to this committee. Curriculum staff to review, and then this committee.
Well, yeah, I don't think that this,
We don't get to approve it.
I don't think that I mean, what's nice to know is, along the way, is that there's some processes in
Right.
place, and everybody seems to be understanding that there's a good discussion about what should occur, and we're asked to support the recommendation, so.
And it's good that we have the
Yeah, so-
administrators and the instructional staff working together to develop
Yeah.
and approve programs, so, which is the intent of the instructional council.
We were thinking
So-
ahead. You see, I'm just letting you know, we're thinking ahead.
So, well, it looks like,
Good.
so this is good news to.
That's good.
Well, we are
The
very
instructional council's
pleased to
going
get,
well.
yeah, to
We are
get
very
5
pleased
courses
that-
through.
and Louise
yeah.
Wilson,
Very
just
nice.
quote Louise
Cindy.
Wilson, we are very
But
pleased.
we are very pleased. I think we were all very pleased. We went, wow, 5 courses, 5 courses.
Record that.
Excited, so excited. Yes.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Okay, well. The next reports to the committee, attendance procedures and results. So this is our, one of the major goals of the superintendent in the district this year is to work on attendance. And so I know that you guys have worked hard to put this presentation together to inform us, so.
Yeah, we did. I don't want to blind you. I know it's going to
Okay,
come
all
on.
right, I can move.
So you,
Yeah, let's move, yeah.
So one thing we did, just a preview of our of mind shift that we had to go through, is before we really looked at average daily attendance, and especially truancy, and really average daily attendance. You think about if you have 100 kids in your building, 10 are absent, 90% attendance. And truancy is something we had to report to the state. Truancy just meaning that it was only unexcused absences. So, our policy aligns to that on unexcused absences. But when we started looking at our data a little bit further, we realized it didn't matter why the student wasn't there. They're not there. And then this is when we talked about chronic absenteeism. And chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% of the school year, regardless if it's excused or unexcused. But that's a major shift, at least in the thought process and thinking, because it's hard when kids are not in their seats because teachers can't make up that instruction. You can't replace that discourse that happens in the classroom, regardless of the reason why you're there or not there, or you're not there. So across the nation, estimates with 10 to 15% of students nearly miss a month of school every year.
So, wait, Mel, I just want to do the math out loud. So 10% of missing a school for the year is approximately missing 18 days.
18 days, correct.
18 days of school. So,
18 days of school.
so if the student is missing class once every 2 or so weeks, that's going to end up.
It
being
adds
chronic
up. It
absenteeism.
adds up.
Okay.
About 9 months of school, 1 or 2, say 2 a month, it equals 18. It all adds up, and it's a direct correlation between attendance and grades, attendance and dropout. You have, it all aligns.
Okay, so it's very important, because 10% might seem like a lot, but, you know, a couple times a month is chronic absenteeism.
Yep, makes a difference. And then another myth is just a high school problem, and that is absolutely a myth. It happens early as kindergarten. The best predictor of chronic absenteeism is your past practice, your past behavior. And so if the likelihood of you becoming chronically absent in 1 year, just look at your previous attendance. And then with kindergarten, we know the law behind it, kids don't have to come to school. But what we try to teach and practice is good habits early on. If you build those good habits early on, the likelihood of once you get to 3rd, 4th, 5th, high school, you're gonna build those strong foundations as a family. So that's another myth that happens. One thing that Tony, you kind of or Dr. Baker, you kind of hit on. Absences are only a problem if they're unexcused. So that's one thing that we had to go through. Most families think that, oh, I called in, it's okay, or it's too cold, or I called it's okay. They do add up. Sporadic versus consecutive, meaning that if you don't miss 2 or 3 days in a row, it's okay. You can ask any teacher here, any teacher anywhere. It's very hard to catch someone up if they're only there 3 days or 4 days in a week. It doesn't matter if it's be consecutive. It's almost impossible. And then in attendance only matters in order grades. Some real barriers that it can happen. Lack of active health care is one of them. And then this is our partnership with Spectrum Health. We have health aides and nurses. We've been on for a number of years to try to combat some of these things. Poor transportation. Transportation could be one. We look at our routes, meeting our routes to school, a safe path. I know it was a perfect example with the snow we had. A lot of the snow was the roads became okay, but how are the sidewalks? So it's important that everyone plays a part in this. So once you do this, so what we do is we have began to try to address some of these barriers. And this is just I'm going to highlight just a couple points, what we try to do up here when there's barriers. So part of it is, if you look at the middle, students are not encouraged to attend school. I would talk about later about attendance challenge that we did. That's providing incentives, rewards, recognition for good attendance. A personalized outreach, reminding students through personal phone calls. Robocalls are a part of the solution, but it's much more powerful when you have someone on the phone or a message for someone that you know. It's taking a personal interest. It could be a teacher, it could be a counselor, it could be a principal, it could be anybody. That's saying, we missed you, and this or we're glad you came. And then, so this just gives you just a quick glance at some of the things that we're trying to do to combat some of those barriers. And then we also know that sometimes the aversion, children struggle academically. It could be a reason, so I may not want to go to that classroom or that school for that reason. Engaging instruction, poor school climate, or sometimes parents have negative experiences themselves. So all these things are really, we're in one part of a learning process for teaching our schools, our students, and our families these myths, barriers, and aversions and what we can do about them. Looking at the data really shows, and this is what we launched this, I want to say August to principals and publicly in August too. It's really, what this is showing is a 3-year average. And it's showing the problem. It's showing that last year we had, the 2012-13 school year, we had 36.4% of our students chronically absent. If you think about that, if I put it in a raw number, that's just over 7,000 students that missed 10% of the school year.
Significant.
7,000 students. So, and so what I tried to do in this chart to see, was it a one-year problem? Was it a consistent problem? As you can see, it's pretty close between, we went up 36.58% 2 years ago to 36.4, last year. But they're all pretty close. And if you look at closer, it's the transition grades. You have grades kindergarten and K-5 is the highest. You have, looks like grade 8 is close, another, transition grade. And grade 9, are highest. So we knew once, it was bigger than truancy. It was chronic absenteeism plays a huge role in the success of students' lives. So what we did is we have a lot of data that goes to principals. But one of the data sets, we call it the SAT, School Attendance Tracking Tools. And the School Attendance Tracking Tool, we looked at the first marking period, so the first 9 weeks. So I'm wondering, how are we doing the first 9 weeks? And as you can see, we're at, remember, we stopped at 36%, 36.4% chronically absent at the end of last year. So we want the number to go down. We reduced it to 24.6. And there's some positive outliers. It's really 4 schools that I want to highlight real quickly. They're saying that they're having some successes, and we're in a conversation, we will be in conversation with them to really figure out the what, the why. The schools are Palmer Elementary, Sibley, Southwest Community Campus, and Buchanan. With those, they reduced it reduced from their spring into their first marking period from negative 9 point, they went down 9.7 percentage points all the way to 15.9, depending on percentage points on the school. So you look at it, we look at it multiple ways. So we're looking at what is happening there. We're trying to find what is happening there. Maybe can we replicate? What can we do? Because something is, those numbers, we're not a percentage point or 2 or 3. You're talking 15 percentage points. There's something going on there. But when you look at it, so we look at it a different way. Let's compare it closer to apples. And this chart, what it shows is the marking period, first marking period for this school year versus the first marking period for the previous 2 school years. And the numbers are not as positive. So what it shows is last year at this same point, overall, we were at 24.3% chronically absent. And you want the number to go down. We actually had a slight uptake when we were at 24.6 chronically absent after the first marking period this year. Breaking it down, K-5 right now, the K-5, you add all those schools up, they're at 16.9% chronically absent. And then 6-8 is 23.3%. And the high school is the one that's going down, which is good. That's what you want. The high school numbers that now are at, it's still too high, but it's going down. It's at 41.7% chronically absent. So what we're doing, but if you remember the 4 schools I said before, it was Palmer, Sibley, Southwest, and Buchanan. 2 of those schools, Southwest Community Campus and Buchanan, still show gains, positive gains when you look at it this way too, marking period to marking period. So I'm really, when you look, no matter how you look at their data, you look at it from a year glance, or you look at it from the market period glance, at least those 2 schools have some positive gains. At the high school level, when you look at it, so why have to go down? Ottawa and Union stand out to me. Ottawa and Union are the 2 schools that are showing some positive gains, reducing chronic absenteeism. So, but it's definitely, this is telling, because we're trying to say, we're going to go into what we're doing about it, but it's saying that there's more to be done. We know, based off our past data too, I can tell you that typically chronic absenteeism gets, the numbers get worse as the year goes by. You have your holiday breaks. Sometimes people take extended breaks. You have, the weather gets worse. You have a lot of different factors that come in that we're really trying to get the message out that attendance matters. Attendance really does matter.
I have a couple
Go ahead.
data questions for clarification before we move on. One is that if we look at this one here, and I saw in the earlier ones, we see that the as they go up in grade,
Yep.
after 10th grade or 9th grade, the percentages drop. But my my thinking is that the kids who are absent, chronically absent from school as ninth graders aren't students by the time they get to 12th grade.
That's possibly one of the factors. We know the kids that enroll in high school, at least when they get to 12th grade, it's not the same number.
Right.
And so, is that the total answer? No. But we also know that if you can get on track, if you can get through ninth grade, you have it. You're gonna make it. You are going to make it. So, I do think we may have some dropouts, but I think the reason why it's being reduced is it's a big transition going from 8th grade to 9th grade.
I see.
What that means, the peer pressure, some of those aversions that you saw earlier plays a big role in it.
So it's several things. So the successful 12th graders have learned to show up. But we are still losing some of those ninth graders who aren't showing up too. So that is an indication of things. Why is it that, I'm trying to compare this chart here to the first one, because the numbers here,
Yep, they're showing different things. So this
Yeah.
first one is showing the year 2012, so 2012-13 is the far number on the right.
right,
Can't see the color. And then you're showing the complete year for 11-12 and the complete year for 10-11. And so really it's showing you 3 years by grade level, where we are regarding chronic absenteeism. So the next chart, what it's showing is different. And this is just showing,
this one, yeah.
this one is just showing this year for the first marking period, first 9 weeks, for the 13-14 school year. And you see the
Oh,
different.
I see.
And the
Right,
different,
okay.
the different colors, they just mean, remember chronically absent, it really has 2 categories. It's really, moderate and severe.
Okay.
But they're both chronic.
Okay, I see,
Yep.
misunderstood.
And then, good question. And the last one is just showing you, similar to the first chart, but it's just showing you for the marking periods. It's just really,
Okay, then I actually, I was thinking marking period as the first period of the day.
nope, first 9 weeks.
So, but with that, when you're, for the high schools, since you do have periods of the day, does the attendance get better as a day? How do you account, say, for kids that missed the first period but are there the rest of the day?
Yep, so how we calculate the data is 6 hours in a day. If you're there for, we do hours 3 out of 6, 4 out of 6, that's how it's calculated.
Okay,
The data, what it shows is first hour has the worst attendance rates. And then it kind of, it gets a little bit better, but first hour by far is the worst
so at
In high
least,
schools?
in high schools.
I'll let you go. So-
That's why we should start. Hater.
Well, it looks like at least you're identifying where the problems are, and it looks like you're already
Later
gonna
in the
talk
day.
about what you're
Yep.
doing about those problems. So-
You ever get the little kids
We
in
won't
early,
propose.
or up at the crack of dawn, and the older kids who want to sleep till 10 later, we get the buses to change. I've been having this scream for 25, 30 years.
Not a new problem.
I know. It's always there.
So some things we do is, these are the universal strategies, recognizing good attendance, engaging students and parents. It sounds good, but let me tell you what it means for GRPS. And so, recognizing good and improved attendance, we launched something called, and I'm gonna show you in a second, this is a visual what it is attendance challenge. If you go to any of the buildings now, you're gonna notice these huge leaderboards. They look like this. It's just in a much small, each school has their own name, and really what it does is highlight what the research calls as satisfactory attendance. Satisfactory attendance is really missing less than 5% of the school year. And so each grade level has a challenge. And say 9th grade versus 10th grade versus 11th grade versus 12th grade, or whatever grade you have in your school. And then what we're trying to implement some school pride connected to positive behavior intervention supports. This first semester, we had dollars around it to help promote it. So meaning that whoever won your attendance challenge, we promoted, and then the school got to decide of how you want to use those dollars to reward your kids. Because it says recognize good and improve attendance. So that's one way GRPS does it. Engaging students and parents. Engaging the students is through that challenge. Parents, we do it through Parent University. We do it through the building base does it through either their communications, their personal outreach that they do to families. It is not just a negative. It's not just saying, why aren't you at school? Thank you for being here. We want to do it the positive way too. Another huge thing that we do, because we didn't know of the problem, it was this big and really until this summer. But monitor attendance data and practice. This one talks about, we either have at the secondary level, we have the wheel, and that's really the teams come together, look at students, attendance being one of them. At the lower levels, we have attendance teams, or whatever you call it, you have to focus on attendance. And so that's the key, and it's not, it can't be a monthly focus. It has to be a weekly strategic focus on attendance. And so some of our learning that we're trying to do, we have some tips for attendance teams. Because we know GRPS, we're not the only ones that are tackling this problem. So there's some best practices around what each attendance team should do. For example, examine every week the list of students. So what happens is we send buildings the building principals that list of students who are chronically absent. We look at the data, the grades, the test scores, all the data comes to them. So the only expectation we have is do it in collaboration with your leadership teams, and that can look differently at each building. But you have to take a look at it and really delve into the reasons why. So this is just kind of a cheat sheet of what some of the best practices that we're trying to do to curb it. And then this personalized outreach is another important one. That one really talks about, it makes a difference if I know you, if I'm saying, like Reverend Moody, that I call you personally because we have a relationship and it's about attendance instead of a random someone calling. That makes a difference. And so what we do is we have these We Miss You cards. This is just one strategy. In buildings, and some buildings have taken off with this, and some other buildings have said, I'm gonna do this, so another structure. But the We Miss You cards are really, it's just a personalized note. It doesn't have to be one person, and you're not gonna be doing every student all the time. But at some point, I noticed that you were either there, or you would say you were gone. And someone actually noticed me. And someone that in my classroom, and you write that personalized message. It's just one kind of old strategy that's been around for a while. But we've kind of made the logo and made the cards and, trying to take those steps, some barriers out of the way for people to do it.
So, Mr. Atkins, this is what the attendance team does.
Well, part of what the attendance team does is they get the data and they identify, okay, here's the problem. Because we're looking at it from 30,000 feet, or here are the broad numbers. But the schools have to get to the individual student level to say, okay, what's going on? Have you heard anything about X, this student, or this student, or this student? What can we do? And then each school develops a plan. But what each school has to do is they have to meet around a consistent basis around the data, which comes to them. They have to do something about it.
Are the teams primarily dealing with the students, or are they dealing with students and parents?
Both.
Okay.
Both. The schools, at least the schools that have found successes, especially at the lower levels, is really a parent decision. It's a parent decision, and then when you get to the secondary division, you still have to engage. You still have to engage a parent. A parent, you're always going to be a parent. It doesn't matter if the kid's 14, 15, 16, 17. You're still a parent. So we want that message to become loud and clear that it's all together. It's all together.
One more question. In engaging both students and parents, is there anyone on the team that primarily goes to the house to have a sit-down or talk with parents about the absenteeism of kids?
Yep, good question. Really, we have two structures to do that. We really have family support specialists. So family support specialists in our district, some of them have them in each individual building, some of them in shared buildings, but they are supposed to be one of the advocates for parents to remove barriers. So they go knock on the door and to figure out what can we do, what supports can we play, what is it? So they don't do. And what I'm going to introduce later from it's called Natural Helpers. Natural Helpers came out of our really Believe to Become structure. And really, what they have a goal of going to 700 households at least 5 times. So part of this, our movement this is bigger than GRPS. This is a community initiative, this is a community structure. So the response to the community this is one of the responses. We, thank you for being here, Sinead Evan Verley. She can take any questions. But the response is, we have some dedicated folks that their job is to do just that. And as you see real quickly is there's a shift in thinking between more home visits. It went from, in the previous time, we had some people go out to the houses. We're working on data sharing agreements now, so that can happen. So because you don't want a random house. Because the data here that shows you right here is this. The data that shows you here is which zone or which block has the greatest number of chronically absent students. So that's a powerful tool, because the data that I have, or I didn't show you, I can have it by zip code, we have it by zone, and then we're going to work on with parent consent that you know the address, you can get even fine grain. So the schools, the tennis team have a part, the community has a part, everyone, we want to local churches, businesses, everyone plays a part in this reducing chronic absenteeism. Everyone.
So, and those are only, that's happening only in the Hope Zones? though?
Yep, so the effort here is happening in the 4 Hope Zone areas so that we have. So that combined with our family support specialists.
Okay.
Remember, we
Right.
have 11 or 12 family support specialists that are supporting this effort, along with the buildings, the teachers. We have a number of teachers, the principals, we have youth advocates. Everyone has kind of skin in the game in this structure. And so you can't pass, when you say 7,000 kids, remember, it's too big for a single group. And it didn't happen overnight.
Is there, have you compared any data in the past, such as there was once a time when we had truance officers that went out to the house? Does that team somewhat that you have today kind of fits that category?
Yep, so family support specialists, they look at the truancy, but also one of their jobs is to try to remove barriers. And so it's not to the point we don't look at truancy, but it's not the only thing we look at. And so, so we have these like kind of attendance packets, and then what these packets really show you is really the evidence. I've tried 5 different times. This was the evidence. This is what I did too. Sometimes we got to take that step though. If it doesn't work, we do have to work. The reality is we have to work with the courts. When we do work with the courts, if we have to go that route, we don't want to go that route, but we have to have our evidence in place in order to say this is the opportunity, and it's been consistent over years.
May I ask another question?
Oh, yeah.
So is Mrs. Verley here to talk about the Hope Zones?
Yep. So she can talk about. Well, let me show you real. Do you make sure you understand just real quickly the attendance challenge. The attendance challenge is really a co-partnership with Believe to Become that we kind of developed it together, and it really speaks to, like I said, satisfactory attendance, promoting positive attendance, and so some schools have really taken off with this effort. We have some outlining structures. I said we have some dollars around it, but the schools that have been able to engage their students on what will make you come to school, or why aren't you coming to school? The schools that have brought it to that level have probably showed the most positive gains with it. If I get here, I don't know if you want to. If you have any questions here, you have anything to add about the natural helpers or what? Yep. I'm gonna come up.
In this structure, I mean, what Believe to Become is this continues to endeavor is, as the district, we're so committed in really wanting to help to turn the district around. And as we continue to have conversations with staff, and they uncover other opportunities, we want to align our resources to help that happen and help that go right. And so this is the work of Link. In particular, if you see previously, we were already going to homes. So through the neighborhood engagement strategy of Believe to Become, 50% of their time of natural helpers who have been on the ground have already been going to homes. The question is what have they been doing when they got there? And so we initially were just doing a survey, information gathering, and helping parents identify what barriers they had, which could be pretty broad, not necessarily focused always on education. And what we see is a new opportunity as we've learned about the chronic absenteeism really together, is that we could repurpose that resource. And so I just had a meeting with Link's leadership last week. We've got a big planning session this week. And so the new work will be to repurpose that, to go into homes and to connect with parents much more intentionally, specifically on a intensive information service. So to really get parents the information they need specifically around how their kids are doing in attendance and how to actually complete homework. And honestly, Mel, I appreciate this slide here because if you can see that back in 2010, parents were the ones who were asking in those community meetings, just like they were asking for Parent University, they were asking for homework help. And what we know in low-income, vulnerable communities is that the communication between the student and the parent may be low, and we know that the two levers for moving student achievement is student effort and teacher quality. The district has a big teacher quality effort, and so we all been sitting here working on how do you move student effort. We found a model that actually has gotten some rigorous results, and we're pretty geeked about it, and we're going to try it in a number of different venues to be able to see if we can help the parent put the pressure on the student to increase student effort and the effort to get to school and complete that homework. So that's kind of the economic model, is invest in the parent to increase student effort, and the equation of increased student effort and teacher quality should net something pretty powerful. The research that this is built on was actually done in low-income neighborhoods, predominantly Hispanic, in a random control trial, and they moved the needle in high schools. Now, and you think about it, culturally, low-income parents of color tend to kind of not be as on duty with their older child, but they in fact need to be more on duty. And so we hope that this effort impacts specifically two levers to help parents help their kids be more successful.
Are they gathering data that goes back to the district? Like, for instance, maybe some neighborhoods would be more likely to have a problem with transportation than other neighborhoods? Is that?
There will be some barriers, and that's a good, we want to identify what those barriers were. The district has been identifying barriers. When the natural helper goes out, we want to help, uncover with parents what they think their barriers are and begin to mine that data to see who else in the community can really help this effort.
So Mel, yeah, so you are pulling that data. Because that sounds, if you got a natural helper stopping at the door and say, well, why is so-and-so not there?
Yeah.
He missed the bus.
Right.
Well, if you hear that from a lot of people in one neighborhood and not another neighborhood, then I'm thinking that's.
Yep.
They would definitely be tracking it.
When you do that, so the point being, hopefully we're making here is one, we were not afraid of the data. It's saying, because some of these numbers are stark. But we do have a comprehensive plan and something about it. Then also, we have a collaborative partnership with our community to do something about it too. You know, because everyone wins if we can solve this problem. You know, every business owner, every economy, everyone kind of has stake in the game. And so it's really aligning everyone and all these resources all going the same way with some common messaging that I'll show in a second.
There's one more
Yeah, go ahead.
piece about the data. I know that even though the rest of the city isn't a hope zone, but the district has this kind of data for the rest of the,
Yep, so
neighborhoods.
the data that comes from, that you're talking about, I think this one, this.
Yeah.
Yep, this chart, so it's a partnership with Grand Valley CRI that you can get probably.
yeah, they're good. Yeah. But we have that access to that. This is just the Hope Zone data.
Yeah,
But we have
yeah.
access to that kind of data
Yep.
for the rest of the city. Okay, that's,
You wanna know, we can
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
produce it. Yep. And so, just a quick reminder that another structure that when you talk about parents, we launched Parent University. And Parent University was asked by the parents, and it came from, in from the parents 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when we talked about those community meetings that were happening, they asked for structures, this thing. And so we launched it this year. So, this year we've had some positive traction with it, and then we're looking to build this program next year. But really, what it is activities, workshops, classes, what our parents are asking. And it's really 4 areas that they said they needed it on. One is effective parenting. 2 is navigating the educational system. 3 is personal growth and development. And the last one is health and wellness. And so these classes, you can get, some classes can GEDs, college courses. But the thing that I'm most proud of is we have parent tracks. Parent tracks is we have, the one that I want to highlight is parent ambassadors. Parent ambassadors are people that have kind of went through the process and saying, man, I really believe in this. How can I help spread the word? How can I be an ambassador for other parents in the district? Because I really do believe in this message. I haven't checked the numbers in a while, but I know we were at 35 parent ambassadors before break. And it's only launched in the first couple of years. So we want to grow, people can really speak to it. People can really articulate it. Anywhere they go, they bring someone with. That's really how it's going to grow, the personalized outreach. Some messaging that we want to come with this, because sometimes you can get lost in the data. There's a lot of it. But 7 key messages. I'm not going to read them all to you, but I'm going to highlight a couple. Good attendance helps children do well in school. Absences add up. These are the things that we want businesses and community, and when you meet with parents, is to say these key things. Relationship building is fundamental. Reducing chronic absenteeism can close achievement gaps. Those just simple 7 key messages are something kind of anyone can hold, anyone can talk to, because this problem wasn't a market period 9-week problem. It's going to take time and consistency and effort from everyone from getting that number from 36.4 to reduce it to wherever we're going. But this is the first step.
Is it possible that we could perhaps sometime in the near future hear some of the success stories of Parent University, perhaps with parents and children in terms of academics and absenteeism?
yeah, it'd be definitely nice to see the results if the absenteeism goes down, especially, and then also.
Make sure the entire board knows really how well you're doing with this, really keying in on issues. Good data, good plans.
Could it be done at a board meeting or academic achievement meeting?
Yeah, certainly. We just have to talk to President about, whether or not to do it at a full board meeting or to do it here.
Work session or something.
yeah.
that We make sure, that's a really critical piece.
Well, and the absenteeism, this piece was also a major component of the superintendent evaluation, and so, the entire board will definitely need to be
So Mitch,
Mel's
just wanna evolve,
smiling like he knows that.
They should be brought up to date on all this.
So,
So,
We can carry the information, but we've got some good data.
And the reason why I brought that up, because it'll be good for the community to see what Parent University is doing, because you still have a lot of people out there that's still trying to figure out what it's all about. You're doing well with it, but to have some real, concrete witnesses, as I would say, goes a long way.
well, definitely, I want to take, Shanae, I mean, I think that the analysis of, dealing with the enormous issues that face the community like Grand Rapids, the analysis is that the community matters, and I definitely want to applaud your work individually, but also B2B in the broader context, Link and everybody else involved in providing that work, because that's what's, obviously, so it's nice to know that we got that help, because it would cost a
absolutely.
lot of resources
a lot of
to send staff to, to schools all the time, so pretty impressive, so. All right, thanks.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, just go slow. Just give us a minute or two.
So be really, just sit back and relax a moment. Really slow.
Be really helpful for everybody to hear the data on attendance at a work session or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, so now we got the analysis of the efforts to reduce data, yeah. Actually, because I went to the Parent University kickoff, and that was presented there to the wider community, and it was pretty alarming to see it, yeah, so.
Thanks, Shanae.
Looks like Renard couldn't get out of his meeting.
No, I mean, he said 10 minutes. 45 minutes ago, so. It's happening.
Got stuck somewhere, huh?
Like that.
6 schools to go through.
Yeah, but I don't think that we need to. We won't, we're not gonna go
We're gonna
through
be here
each.
till 8
'cause- No, but before we went through all of the plans.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna, this is just the updates.
Oh, you're not gonna, we're not
Plan-
gonna hear from each.
I do not have a PowerPoint.
Plan implementation status.
No. So, and just, do you want me to go ahead and start?
Well, let's wait till
Just
Nick
a
gets
minute.
back.
Okay.
But it's not, not each principal's here. You're going to
No,
give the
no.
reports.
Yeah, notice.
I'm in.
Well, that's
Yes.
good, because I thought,
Yes.
well, that will be quite an evening.
We could just
So
ask
it's
Cindy
just,
100
so you
questions.
know, over the course of the school year, because each of the priority schools is required to report to the board 4 times. So what we will do is a combination of written reports and then presentation reports. So that's what we've done, is each school will give 2 written reports. So this is year 1's first written report. And then they will also have a second written report, and then each school will also come 2 times and actually share with you. So you will get a combination of the 2.
Okay, right, and if you do the math, we would end up having every achievement committee just focusing on this, if we did extended conversations about it,
Right.
so.
So we
That will be
thought,
So this is, so you're getting ready to tell us that these are
There
the
you
written
go.
reports that are due to the board.
yes, I am.
As part of the 4 reports to the board, 2 of them are written, and this is one.
When we
Exactly.
talked about it yesterday at the work session, I thought,
Right.
we are going to have a long spring.
No, that's what we did at the work session, so that way first of all, everybody has the burden, not just the 4 of
Yeah,
us.
really, wow.
And secondly, so we can know what's happening, we don't have to spend as much time with each one of them, as each time
Great.
it comes up. Otherwise, it'll just be the priority school, committee.
And it would exhaust these principals who really need to be doing some work, not just
Exactly.
reporting to someone.
Exactly. So the purpose of my visit here at this time is to update the board on and you've got kind of a different list in front of you. You've got year 1 priority schools in front of you. You've also got year 4 SIG schools, an update from 2 schools. because they were also last year identified as priority schools. So we have Union and Westwood also their update. And then Coit, which was identified in August as a priority school, or excuse me, as a
Yeah,
focus school.
right.
Whew.
Yeah.
I want to pull that one back. So those are the, so to let you know, the year one priority schools that you should have a report in your packet on are Martin Luther King, Ottawa Hills, and Dickinson. And then you should also have an update on Union and Westwood, and then an update on Coit, which you'll remember is a focus school.
There's a difference? Tell me about focus school again.
Okay, so a focus school has the largest achievement gap between the top 30% and bottom 30%, right? Yep.
Priority, yeah.
And so remember that bottom 30% is always performing below the state average. And so the work is always to close the gap. That's the work of the focus school. So Coit has created their plan, and the requirements around the focus schools are very different than the requirements around the priority schools. It's really, they need to do the work to identify their gap, and then they need to put a plan in place to do that. And so Coit identified that math was where their gap was at. And so they're working with a list of interventions, a list of activities that they're moving through, and they're addressing their math gaps. And so you have that in your report. And then our year one priority schools. So again, that's Martin Luther King, Ottawa, and Dickinson. Those schools all showed up on the 2013 top to bottom list. And so they were obligated to create a priority school plan, and they have done so. And they've submitted it now twice to MDE, and just the week before our break, they received feedback, and they have one more submission, and that will be by January 30th. The pieces to know are that MLK's plan, as it was submitted in November, has been accepted. So it isn't, they don't use the word approved, it's approved with contingencies. And the contingencies are that if we would like to seek a letter of agreement, for example, as we did last year, we negotiated and put in place additional professional development hours for what are now our year two schools. So we need to say that now, that we would like to do that, and proceed and get that negotiation done, and then it would be fully approved. So that's the only contingency around MLK.
Okay.
Ottawa and Dickinson are currently revising their plans with the intention of submitting by that January 30th deadline.
So they put forth a plan, states responded, and they're revising.
Exactly.
And they have to have that in by,
January 30th.
everything's January 30th.
Everything right now is January 30th. It is. It is.
Turnaround time.
It's short.
We'll give it a break and all that.
Right, given the break, it is. However, this is the, first one was due, this is the second time. So it's taken time, but it's very focused time. And really it's two or three, you might remember, big ideas. So it's not a traditional school improvement plan. It's very much narrowing the focus on two or three strategies, and really diving into those strategies fast and hard, and everything is focused around those gaps. But then also planning over 3 years, how are we going to address all of our gaps? So if we, for example, at MLK, we're starting with reading, then what are we going to do for year two, and what are we doing for year three? So it's a constant refining the work over time.
Yeah, these are really nice brief reports, by the way, because it says pretty clearly what you're saying. But I mean, so like Ottawa Hills has 3 of 9 components too. Right. So I think that encourage the
And-
board, I'll say it in the board meeting next week, that, to make sure everybody's aware of it, so we know.
And some of the revisions are fairly small. So, because each of the components have 5 or 6 different layers to them, so in some cases, it's 2 or 3 things that we need to address. So, and then the year 4 SIG schools, so that's, again, Union and Westwood. Those schools, they're already operating under an approved plan, and that's their school improvement grant plan. So they were simply required to update their plan. They do not go through the same formalized process. The MDE monitor will visit them in the spring, just like the MDE monitor will visit the year 1 priority schools at some point during the spring. That date's not currently set, but there will be on-site, at least one on-site visit. Any additional questions?
Good.
Well, again, I think that,
They're getting started.
I do like this, these reports are really good.
Yeah, I like it
Gives
too.
us plenty of information quickly. And also, I think that since, you know, the MDE is the one who's making the determination of what a priority school is, that they're providing lots of support along the way, so it's being done in partnership. Again, it feels really good that they're not just gonna come and show up and inspect at some future date and hope that everything was done along the way, so.
And yesterday, just an example of the support that they did provide that I didn't mention is, with this round of feedback also came a phone conference. So we scheduled a phone conference, and yesterday I participated in a phone conference with Dickinson staff and MDE, and it's very helpful. It's very helpful to have them, since those are the same people that were reviewing the plan, giving another, some actual suggestions and assistance, so. Exactly. And hear it from the people who are, again, going to be reading it, so, yeah, it's very helpful. All right, thank you.
Great.
That's great, thanks.
Well, are there any other items?
That's great.
Just a discussion about the future meetings. So we did our organization last night. People have requested, or will be requesting to the president, which committees they want to be on. I will request to stay on this committee, and we'll probably request to continue to chair it. But then, obviously, that doesn't mean everybody else will be the same. I don't know what you all are thinking. We do need to discuss, I think, the time of the meeting. And so
Yes.
what I will probably do is once we get a list of who the committee members are, this time is not working for current
Right.
committee members well. So I do want to make it work for teachers to make it. I did see one teacher, other than Louise, put something on the wall and then leave. I don't think that she was here for the meeting, it just happened to be that. So, one of my favorite teachers actually too was here, but, anyway, I think that, we'll have the challenge of trying to find meeting time, so. I don't know if you guys wanna,
I'm also going to be requesting to stay on as well.
I probably am, but I want to see if any of the newer members,
okay,
you know.
so. So then, basically, I or whoever will be the chair of this committee will be getting together with Carolyn soon and scheduling the next meeting. Maybe for tentatively, just in case, we might be back here at the same time, same place next month, but we might not
But
be,
that's
so.
awkward for both you and Renard.
Yeah, it's awkward for me 3 times a year, so, not every month. It's awkward for Reynard every month, if he's on it, and, it seems to be,
It's fine for me.
It's fine with you, okay. All right, so,
Fine with me.
anyway, so we may end up keeping it the same or not, it depends on who the committee, so I'll talk to Carolyn, so.
As long as we don't do it at 6 o'clock.
Huh?
As long as we don't do it at 6 o'clock.
As long as we don't, yeah, we're getting good at it, we're learning to do fairly brief, we're gonna get out of here at 5, so, 5:05, so. All right, thanks, see y'all.
But I